Ladies and gentlemen, I am Rob, here in my basement lair once more with another unboxing video. Yes, I know you all love these. Again, I am fortunate enough to be able to support some of the creators that I am passionate about the projects, and I've had a great deal of success with Kickstarter, with helping certain people to make their stuff a reality. This particular one I'm doubly enamored of, both because of the infectious attraction that the company has for those who kind of observe it. They've got a lot of good things going for them. And secondly, because I'm personally involving myself in this particular company's ventures, so I think it'll, well, you'll see how some of this stuff goes. I am referring, of course, today for the GooeyCube company's Kickstarter, where they were launching the next 3 segments of their campaign, the Red Star Rising. Now, prior to this, I had no GooeyCube products. They primarily distributed by direct line of sight, going through conventions and selling things. They're only recently starting to go out into retail ventures, which can be complicated because they have a very specialized product that not just everybody can sell well. You have to know what their stuff is, know the advantages to it, and if people have questions like, why is this box this much? They'd be like, because there's a lot of stuff in it. So we're going to look at this together. So the box that I just got today, it's hefty. It is a substantial size box, and there's relatively little shift in it. These are all things that in the industry we call a good thing. So, don't do anything small. We will blade this open. The thing about show daggers is that they usually don't have a very keen end, but they are enough to put paid to standard packing tape, which is good. Of course, GooeyCube is based out of Colorado. It is the brainchild of the head person for it, who called himself Phineas Goo, a fictional character that is very much in their in-world universe, and a guy that I've come to consider as a friend, who's offered me several opportunities and fun stuff, and just a tremendous personality who sucks everybody in who comes to see him. So, let's look at this, shall we? Okay, first of all, the box itself is packed to the brim, as you can see. I knew this was going to happen. And by the way, too, this isn't everything that I ordered. Some of the stuff they had already produced. They had already made the first 3 sections of the Red Star Rising campaign, starting with their boxed adventure, The Darkest Dream. So they had already also released a world book, which is called The Weirded World, the Encyclopedia Xianthica, I believe. Their world is called Xianthe. And if you come to this channel, you'll hear a lot more about it in times to come. But so far, in the package we have Chapter 1, The Darkest Dream, Chapter 2, The Foulest of Spirits, Chapter 3, The Coldest of Blood. You're seeing a theme here? Consistent theme is good. And the Cyclopedia Volume 1. So, total items of this. The rest of your Gooey goodies will come at a later date, my friend, but we are happy to get you these Gooey surprises now. Thank you so much for backing us on Kickstarter, and we look forward to hearing all about your adventures. Oh, you better believe they're going to. May all your adventures be sticky from the Goo Crew, which is awesome. So, and the Goo Crew are a tightly knit group. I believe most of them are co-workers in real life, and just a great group. I've, as I said, kind of become immersed in the Goo myself. And I always look forward. They're the bright spot in my social media. No matter if I've got real-life relatives who are fighting with each other or anything else, I'm always going to see amazing art, some cool ideas coming out of these people. So, and I'm unboxing, but I'm not deliberately going to be pulling all this stuff out and showing everything yet. That's for a later time. as Alphinius is fond of saying, that is a tale still in the telling. Ha-ha! So, the first thing is the Encyclopedia Zyathica Volume 1, The Weirded World. Soft cover. And it is bound at the corners with these pegs. Screws of sorts. I may have to lie and actually open this, so I'm going to push along the seam, which sometimes works, and it does here. Because they are a small press publisher, I'm not sure who their actual publisher is, you know, you do have to inspect things just to make sure there weren't any, you know, upside down pages and things like that over time. But I'm curious how this all works out. Okay, so they have a protective back page, which is kind of cool. That's good because it took a little brunt of the wear and tear, a little bit of a flex, but this is a back page that mirrors the actual back page. So you see what you're getting even if it's in shrink wrap, which is nice. And I suspect the map, which is separate, interestingly enough. They didn't perforate it inside. I hate it when they do that. It weakens the binding and it's just generally an off look. But this is the world of Zyanthe. And a lot of people have a hand in making this world. I'm happy to say that I've offered up my services to help them in small ways, offering a little bit of input myself into some of the comings and goings of their world, and I look forward to broadening that relationship in the future. But as far as the book, now, to be fair, I have already talked to the folks from GooeyCube, obviously, and I have a digital copy of this they sent to me to consider. This is not going to be a review. I think they still have some things to do with their editing that I don't necessarily approve of, but the art is beautiful. They have excellent artists on task. And the world is very, very, very interesting. Very full of detail and flavor and in everything. This art is consistently just beautiful. But the ideas are really, really good too. There's a lot to be had here. The maps are very good. This covers a major broad strokes overlay of the different continents and places within the world. A lot of the focus in here is of the different races within the world, who are all humanoids, and all of them are free of any kind of taint of, this is an evil race. No, the characters all have their own ways and go about them, and there's no cultural enforcement of them to be in a particular way. I have not read this book in its entirety because of, well, quite honestly, I hate reading digital print for too long. It hurts my eyes. So I'm looking forward to going over this. Only fly in the ointment is at the back bottom corners, a little crease where the box took some punishment. Unfortunately, the insulation wasn't quite adequate for that. That's the price you pay for having it in one tight box like this. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more padding to take the blow instead of the book itself, but the damage is very, very light. It still, to be fair, has to be mentioned. And now we come to what really is going to be the weight of these. These are how the adventures come. These are a single adventure, but they come in a box as big as some of the big world boxes used to come in for 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons. Something they've kind of moved away with in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but even 4th edition had some substantial boxes of things, although the packaging was much cheaper. This is a solidly put together cardboard box, and it looks like it just flips out and all the content is in it. This is The Coldest of Blood. That is the 3rd part of the Red Star Rising campaign. The Foulest of Spirits, again, same size box. This is just part 2. And the first one that started it all, The Darkest Dream. Now, as I said, I'm not doing a full, I'm going to open everything up and show you. I know you wish I could. But honestly, that's going to take some time. But I am going to open the Darkest Dream to give you some idea of what goes into a GooeyCube box adventure. In retail, these sell for about $50 a box. You might think to yourself, for one part of an adventure or a campaign, I can get an adventure path, 5th edition, that can cover months of gameplay, if not a full year of gameplay, for $50. And the inside has got pretty art as well. So what makes GooeyCube different and special? Well, I will show you. First of all, this box is solid. This is solid corrugated cardboard. This is not some thin cardboard. Just, you know, this will stand on your shelf proudly, where you can get access to it. And now, I'm going to open it. This is the big moment. First of all, the art, very pretty. This pops. You know, their use of colors, the rich reds, the phantasmal blues, their use of light and darkness. Art is so important when you are trying to get people's eyes on your product, and they nail it. So we're going to open it up together. Ready? All right. Maybe that was a little underwhelming at first, but first of all, please read this first. Because this stuff is a little bit different from other campaigns, it does require a little bit of introduction. And I'm going to give you some excerpts. Cheers and greetings, friend. It's a pleasure to introduce to you The Darkest Dream, the first ever immersive experience adventure from the folks in GooeyCube. You'll hear immersive a lot, and there will be reasons for it. All of us have great hope that you and your players will find it to be a most exciting and enthralling scenario. Before we begin, however, there are some things you should know about this adventure and the entire Red Star Rising campaign. We cannot underscore the importance of preparation in running epic games. Though some may disagree with us, this experience in 40 years of gaming has grounded us in this belief. So you want to read the adventure thoroughly and be familiar with it. On the other hand, we've saved you a lot of time. First, they're really good reads, and that's another thing he emphasizes, is that these are a pleasure to read. It's as gripping as a novel if you're reading it as the game master and uncovering it as a player bit by bit. We want to make adventures that are memorable, and by design they are gritty, realistic, and intense. So that's going to be a theme of theirs too. They focus more on a horror aspect, although it's fantasy horror. So, and lastly, if you would like to help us create the world of Xanthe, they can. They have an open handout for anybody who would like to come over and write for them. They offer often pay in comp. You get paid in goods, but that is something, as I said, I am doing with them. And if you're really good, they might offer you a little bit more than that. So it's hard to get into the gaming hobby's writing side of it, so yes. The Gooey Way of Philosophy. This is available for free, or at least effectively most of the stuff that's in here is available on the GooeyCube website. Having it in print is kind of nice. It shows the different ways that they tackle gaming rather than the default 5th edition way. And there are some interesting elements to that I'm not about to cover now. Most veteran gamers who have been running games for a long time would probably agree with a lot of their sentiments, however. All I'm going to say about that. Now we get to the fun stuff. First of all, the Darkest Dream character portraits. These are all this fantastic character portrait art for all of the characters, NPCs in this story. And I think some of the pre-generated PCs that you can use in the story all have their own panel with art, which I'm going to do a proper unboxing video, but look at it. This isn't just a few. This is, I don't know, probably maybe close to 100 of these portraits. I don't know offhand, but it's a lot. On the back of them, there's a brief description of the character so that you can look at that, read it, and you know how that character should be portrayed. Their personality, their interests, their goals, their hopes. The more important the character, there's going to be more on it. So that's something that you can say if you use a screen. You could take a binder clip and clip the portrait of the person talking right up on the screen so that the players can see that person while they're hearing your voice. That's cool. And again, there's no other game that I've ever seen that goes to that amount of detail. The Darkest Dream special item cards. Blazing the GooeyCube. Again, this is premium art that is applied to each one of these cards, and a brief description on the back of their abilities and powers. Like a clairvoyance potion. Relatively simple thing, but if I can, when you find a treasure and I can hand you a card, say, you find this, it's a little bit more exciting than just describing, you find a potion bottle. So there is that. Although I personally would probably hesitate to hand out the card until the item has been identified, but we'll see. As far as rewards, they have a whole deck of Gooey rewards, different things that you can give your players out for excellent role-playing, as an alternative to perhaps inspiration points. The one on the back here, temporary hit points. When you use this reward, you get 2d8 hit points plus 1 hit point per level of your character as temporary hit points. The temporary hit points add to your total and are deducted first when you take damage. Once they're gone, they may not be healed or replaced. The card may be played in any time, but may only be played once. So these are things that your characters can collect that will help them out. Because the game is pretty realistic and brutal, these can help to tip the scales as your characters are being properly heroic and having a few edges that help them out. Now we get to the game itself. They spiral bound their adventures. There's a couple of good reasons for this. Number one is that they lay flat when you flip them open, like so. Number two is that when it comes to quickly being able to reference the things inside of it, they want you to be able to lay this out alongside of the companion book that you'll be seeing in just a second, which is also spiral bound. And again, it is full of art. Not all of the art is necessarily going to be the same portrait grade, because that stuff is, fine art quality. But it's certainly enough to get you the idea of the locations and places within the game. Also, it should be said, I knew this was here, this has a thick collection of adventure handouts, including this art. Your characters go to a new place that has art illustrating it, you can show the players what that place looks like. No longer are they just relying on your voice and your narration for what they see and hear, but they can see it on here. I hear there's also access to some downloads for audio files too, but this is another one of those things that really elevates their game. All this is solid art that you will see when I actually do the proper unboxing of it. I'll open this up and show you. But it's really nice stuff. And that is, again, yours to reuse too. So if you find the stuff, you like it, and later on in another adventure you find something that's just like that, you can reuse it, which is cool. But all of these have cues inside of this GM's reference book as far as where to use these various art pieces so that they can see what does this statue in this market look like. You've got the art right there, and then you'll know to hand that off to your player characters to take a look at and swim around in that world for a bit. Also, another thing that they harp on was the importance of writing the story narratively, so that as you're reading it as the game master, you're being entertained with it rather than just a dry discourse on what happens, so that you can try to frame it and set it up for your players, which is kind of nice. Again, fairly unique to the folks at GooeyCube. Another element of that is, if you look through the Game Master section, I've seen this in their promotional stuff, but of course they have they have stat blocks, different things for the challenges that you see, but they understand that not all parties are made equal, not all groups, and not all players. Some people struggle with tactics, and some people are really good. So they give a little liner saying how to make it tougher, or how to make it easier, so that you can tailor encounters to match your players. And that, quite honestly, is part of the art of running a module that's usually left up to the dungeon master or the game master themselves. They make it easier for you, or for starting game masters, by having all of that right there. Advice on how you can tailor the adventure to fit your group, to give more entertainment out of it, and to challenge them at the level where you find them, not necessarily the default by their level and makeup of the group. So, I think that's pretty cool. Then we have a pad of pre-generated characters. That's awfully nice. And there's quite a few of them. So they all have art. Again, not going to open it up right now. That will be for the unboxing video later, because I will be unboxing each of these too for your perusal. Then there's a quick article being Handouts, which sets you up for the adventure. In this case, this is something that you can copy and hand out to players if you want, and it gives the players an introduction on how basically the characters are impacted by the setting of the adventure. Being Handouts, you're a troupe of people who often have adventurer-type skills. You travel around basically in a carnival. And that is the presumption that your characters are going to be in when you start the adventure. And that several of the NPCs are going to be as well, I believe. They have a cheat sheet here for all the different people, with a little bit of extra so you can leave your own notes and stuff. But this is, again, so you can just look at this sheet and have access and reference to everything that you need, which is a very nice touch. And there's a friendly NPC cheat sheet. Yes, all those characters that you saw in here, there's a listing. The ones that aren't going to be monsters and need stat blocks as much, the backside has the enemies. And this isn't going to be the full stats. Hopefully you have the Game Master sheet out that has all the stats. But this is something so you can keep in mind the motivations and characteristics of the characters. For example, a note. The part of this group's criminal organization. Now you have the instant attachment you can have, so you know what their interests are and you know what they might know, which can be very important in your characterization of an NPC. Then we have the actual adventure game itself. Now this is a little bit different, because you would think, okay, I don't know that I need 2 books. You really kind of do, because the Game Master side of it is all the statistics and everything. It's your referential notes for running the game. This describes what is happening, why it's happening. It gives you the dialogue, the motivations of the characters, the introduction of all of the different events and everything, so that as you're prepping the adventure, you're reading the story. As you are executing the adventure, you're looking for the cues on what information to give to your players and how to give it in some cases. It also gives you prompts on the adventure handouts to give them and show them. And basically, this by itself is often condensed into small blocks of fluff along the way, or maybe just a glib explanation of certain characters' motivations or the events that put the adventure into motion. This frames it so that as the adventure goes on, you are following along with the story and also keeping track of the stats and things that you're going to need. They're both accessible to you at the same time behind the DM screen, which is kind of the assumption of how they run it. And again, this one is full of the art portraits. Very cool art. I'm a huge fan of the amount they put into. If you hear me talk about role-playing games, I'll almost always mention the art, because it's one of the most important things about a game that's often overlooked, especially by new up-and-coming and indie developers. So you've got all of these great portraits to go along with these fantastic characters. And of course, the characters all have a lot of development, not just statistics, but also their motivations, their purposes, what their goals are, what they're afraid of. And, yeah, gives you everything you need to run the game. That's just one of them. The other ones, they kind of start having a little bit of bloat where they keep adding more and more stuff because they can't really stop themselves. They're funny to listen to. They're going to actually have to make the next series bigger deeper boxes because they keep cramming more stuff in, which is interesting. But these are the 3 that they have right now. They're rushing the 4th set out to the printers now, I believe. And they've got the next 2. They are in order of constructing. Most of the design's already done. They're just, nailing down everything, all the art pieces and everything to it, which really makes it look like they're going to be able to hit their goals. I believe the ship date for all the extra stuff was in October. So they've got some time, and they've got a lot of the work done already. I've been following along behind the scenes, and I gotta say, this was a Kickstarter I was happy to back, and I was happy to promote. I will say this. Again, a lot of these unboxings, I don't do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I just look at what's there. Everything I've seen here, this makes me really happy that I've got this. The adventures especially, I'm looking forward to running. There's no middle ground there. I am very much looking forward to the looks on my players' faces when they see all these cool things to get them excited and interested. I'm really looking forward to really delving deeply into the story, which I don't know, even though they were nice enough to send me a copy. I just perused it for purposes of how I could promote it, how interested I was in backing it, and it got me very excited. Having the physical copy here has got me very excited. And I am salivating at the opportunity to unbox these other things and give you proper videos for those coming up. So, hope you're looking forward to that. But this is what I've gotten. This was one of the basic levels. I did not back, unfortunately, all of the extra things as they were coming out, but, not made of money, unfortunately. If I was, I'd be spending off an arm on some of these things. So I look forward to patronizing them in the future as they come out with these products. And after running through these first adventures, which should be a heck of a campaign as it goes, with a completely different set than anything I've ever done before, and again, now that I have the world book, strong possibility that I'll set it in their world of Xianthe, which is generally a pretty cool place to be. Both bleak and hopeful, wondrous as well as horrifying. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully you're looking forward to hearing the after-action reports through my State of the Dungeon addresses, reviews that I do on the product, and the remainder of the unboxings that I'm going to be doing, because I know I'm looking forward to doing all of this for you. So thank you one and all for joining me. I'm Rob. Thank you to GooeyCube. It's been a fun ride so far, and I'm looking forward to even more in the future. And of course, the inimicable Elphinius Goo, thanks again, my friend. I'm really happy to get this, and I'm looking forward to plunging into the depths of the goo to see what all of the buzz is about, more so than I already have. So, thank you very much, and until next time, we have something else to show to you. Farewell.